Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Minecraft Myth Busting. Lately I've been putting a lot of time into this show. We have been doing some big tests and learning a lot about the game, but this episode I want to take it easy and do a simple test for a question some of you have been asking for. We have two new tree types in 1.7 and some of you like me are interested in knowing the drop rates of these leaves. Now we have done tons of episodes about leaves. Do they work with fortune? Are they affected by biome type, etc, etc. So I am not going to bore you with another time lapse of leaves decaying, but what we will do is test all of the leaf blocks using this new testing facility so we can compare the drop rates of each type of leaf in the same test. Now one of the biggest complaints about the leaves that I've done in the past is that saplings can land on top of other leaf blocks and despawn, which hasn't affected previous tests because it's the same condition each time the test is made. However, for us to get the most accurate result in this test, it is definitely a good idea to stop this happening, which is why this test facility has been built this way. So each level of the facility there is 850 blocks at the same height, so there is a minimal chance of the sapling landing on top of another leaf, and then the water and hoppers will bring the drops down to a chest at the bottom. Now there are 12 levels to this facility, which is 10,200 leaf blocks, and I have removed 200 of them, so it makes the maths very convenient. So at the moment these leaf blocks have data values which mean they won't despawn, but using MCEdit I am going to change all of them and test the leaf blocks one by one so we can find out the drop rates. So the test results are in, and we're throwing them away because I've been a huge idiot. Let me explain what I've done wrong here. First of all, I made a mistake with the amount of blocks that were inside of here. There's actually 9,500 and not 10,000 leaf blocks, which is unfortunate. But what I did for my testing was make a copy of this world, select all of those leaf blocks, change them to the one that we wanted to test, let them decay, check the results in the chest, and then write that down and then repeat the whole process over and over again. Now I didn't just do this once for each sapling as well. Oh no, when it came to the Acacia and the Dark Oak, I decided to do 5 of each of those, and I have now found out that all of the test results are incorrect. But as soon as I finished doing that testing, which was very time consuming, it did then occur to me that you can copy this testing facility over and over again, which makes things a lot easier because you can run all the tests at the same time. So I have decided we're going to scrap the results from this one over here, and as always, right on cue when I am recording, it has decided to rain in this world. But here you will see there are 1,000,000 blocks in this row. We've got 2 of the facilities stacked up, and there's another Thor behind those as well. So there's 1,000,000 leaf blocks there and another 1,000,000 over there. So we're going to test this with a lot more accuracy. But the conclusion that I came to after doing all of this testing before I realised it was inaccurate is that without the 1.7 game code we cannot really back up our findings. There's always going to be anomalies, and the larger the test the less likely you are to get one, so hopefully we'll be able to eliminate that with this larger scale test. But the point with myth busting is we have the code as well, so the tests are usually there to try and show that the game code is doing what it's supposed to, and you can see that actually happening in the game. But if you can't tell, I'm pretty stressed out at the moment with the amount of time this has taken me. I don't really want to babble on anymore. If you really want to see the test results, here they are. All bunch of numbers right there on the screen, and I'm just going to do this test and tell you the results. So you know me by now. I said I would test the 2 leaf blocks again. I went and redone all 6, so it's a fair test, and it absolutely brought my computer to its knees, having 200,000 leaf blocks decaying in the world at once. Now I did say it was 2 million. I made a mistake and carried over an extra 0, but all of that testing has been done. And the whole reason that I wanted to do this, I had some requests, but also when I was chopping down dark oak trees on Hermitcraft, it felt like I was getting a lot less saplings, and I had a suspicion that they would have a lower rate like the jungle leaves do. But if we have a look at the test results here, I'm not going to read out all of the individual numbers. You can see it's pretty conclusive. 5% is pretty much the average for all of these, with the exception of the jungle, and then where there's apples it's 0.5% as well is the drop rate. But just have a look at those numbers, I think that's pretty conclusive. So earlier in the episode when we had the failed testing, I touched on the game code a little bit, and the 1.7 game code could be with us quite soon. So I was wondering if you would all be interested in what's called a rebuttal episode, which could actually be a couple of episodes, but it's where we go around, look at all the previous myths that we've busted, and then check them against the game code in 1.7. For example, one thing I know has changed is fortune working on leaves. When we done a myth busting episode on that, fortune did not work on leaves, and so now that has been changed, and there's probably a few other things that have been changed as well. So if you're interested in that, let me know with a comment in the comment box. But that is it for this episode, so as always, thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you next time.